My job is literally to take my inner reality, which is noticing what's going on around me and the world and really deeply listening and putting that into the material world. And so the practice of doing that daily, you can't help but notice all the things going on in your life.
Yeah.
And I will say I was a stereotypical nurse where I was so busy taking care of everyone else because I didn't want to look at my own stuff. And so the minute I started listening and noticing, I realized like, oh, there's a lot going on.
Today's guest embodies what this podcast is all about. Aileen Fitzgerald spent 8 years as an ICU nurse providing for her daughter with security and stability. And then the pandemic hit, and she picked up the paintbrushes that she hadn't touched for years. It led to her relationship ending, quitting her nursing job, and navigating single motherhood. And for the first time in a long time, something felt right. But Aileen didn't just use art to cope. She made the bold decision to walk away from nursing entirely and rebuild her life as a professional artist. Now she's married to our dear friend Ryan, expecting their first baby later this year, and thriving as both artist and mother. And what I love most about Aileen is her commitment to authentic living. She sees life in colors, literally refusing to wear sunglasses because they alter nature's pure hues. But she found her way back to vulnerability and truth, showing her daughter what it looks like to choose emotional richness over just financial security. Today, we're exploring what Aileen calls the art of devotion, how to be fully present with our children while pursuing our deepest callings. We'll talk about scheduling for freedom, the courage it takes to see clearly, and what happens when you refuse to choose between being a provider and being true to yourself. So let's dive in with the lovely Aileen Fitzgerald. Aileen, thanks for being here.
Of course.
I'm
so honored to be here.
I'm lucky because we're dear friends, but also as I was building the Breadwinners community, you just kept coming back to me because your story isn't the cookie cutter corporate breadwinner.
It's unhinged.
It's unhinged. And that is the goal in this community and for our listeners is everyone has a different definition of breadwinner. And some people it's financial, some people it's emotional, some people it's systematic. And then it comes down to careers. And I want to start off by you doing a little introduction, but also taking us back in your career journey and your life journey with your daughter, Lila. Take us on the journey of how you got to a world-renowned artist that you are.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, how much time do you have?
A lot.
My name is Aileen Fitzgerald, and I'm an artist. I was a nurse. I say was. I think you are forever a nurse, but I actually let my license fall out on purpose. But I was a critical care nurse for almost 9 years, and the COVID pandemic totally changed my life. My now husband says to get the island, you've got to burn the boats. And I burned my world down during COVID and really made a major switch. But yeah, I've always come from a background of just caretaking and nurturing, and I've really pulled that into my role as an artist now. But the journey has been from partnership and living by other people's expectations to a really big shift like COVID. I will never say I'm grateful for COVID because obviously it was such a horrific, horrible, hard time for so many, but it really shifted things around for a lot of people. And if I had to point to one moment in my life where everything changed, it was that. It morphed into single motherhood and actively choosing that, to really not a different career ambition, but just needing to satiate a hunger. I was starving to be myself. And so I burned everything down. I left that almost decade-long relationship with my daughter's father, my now ex, and got a new place, moved me and my daughter in, and quit my job as soon as I got that place as a nurse and said, I have 4 weeks to pay my rent with art. And we're here 5 years later still doing that.
Wow.
And it's not as overwhelming as it was. I'm actually still quite surprised at how it's just continued to steamroll into what it is now.
Talk to me about that starving to be yourself moment, because I, myself included, I think a lot of women and especially a lot of mothers go through that.
I think it takes a frame of reference to even know you're starving. And so the reason why COVID was so big for me is because when we were actively quarantining, not leaving our homes, I found my brushes. I painted my entire life, except for most of my 20s when I was on night shift as a nurse and in what I'll just say a very challenging relationship. And when I found my brushes again and painted my first painting, it was like lighting a spark. And growing up, that's all I did on the weekends. That's my language, is colors and paint. And doing it again, and the spark made a light that showed me how far I had strayed from myself. And that frame of reference made me realize I was starving. It wasn't right away. This was over like months of any single time I put my daughter down for her nap time or I wasn't working, my hospital shifts, I was painting. And I couldn't get enough of it. Like, there wasn't enough time for it. I sacrificed sleep for a long time, really until the last, like, couple years, like, just to get more and more time to do it, because it was just this, like, peeling of an onion, like, stripping all the layers to get back to what little Aileen used to love to do and really is my language. And so disrupting everything in order to get to do that thing, it was unhinged. I did it. I wouldn't say quickly. It was like a decade of a buildup.
Wow.
But I think so many of us forget who we are. Not just women, anybody. Like the journey is of a unbecoming, like stripping everything that we've learned in terms of expectations and what we're supposed to do and really honing in on how to listen. Like, I feel like so many of us don't know how to listen well to others, but especially to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so
because it's noisy.
It is, and it's
You're
hard.
like, oh, I'm just gonna mute that.
Yes, and especially when I finally left. Like, there was one night in particular. If I had to point to like 1 second of my life that was instrumental, it was the moment that my partner at the time, he didn't come home, and this had happened. My life had finally reached a point where like the scale of the fear of the unknown finally felt less heavy than the fear of staying in what felt like hell. Like,
wow.
And there was this moment I distinctly remember thinking, no one's coming to save me. Nobody. And this whole time, I haven't been able to save myself. I didn't even know I needed saving, but I have this baby that I'm taking care of. You'll help your baby.
For sure.
Moms know when you give birth, you are to born that day and everything changes. Like, what you may not know to do for yourself, you know to do for your baby, because your baby gives you this pure love that may be new for some people, is very new for me. And how I felt about her too, I was like, this is what it's about, not this other stuff that's kind of filled up my life. But there's that moment of remembering no one's coming to save me. And I finally, that was like the distinct level where I hit courage of like, I have to. So literally that night,
wow.
I didn't do this on purpose. I was definitely coping. I was on Facebook Marketplace, just looking at vintage items, antiques. That's just kind of how I distract myself. And there was a new category that was listed as homes for rent. I was like, oh, what is this section? And the very first home on that section just looked like it. I was like, I don't know what this place is. Do you know the movie Matilda?
Yeah.
Where Miss Honey's house with like all the flowers in the front? It was like that house.
Oh.
I had to click on it, and I went and saw that house 2 days later, got the keys a week later, just from that thought of no one's coming to save me. And just seeing, I don't know, just the timing of it all. I was thinking that as I saw this little house. And so I got the keys the next week and moved us out. And
is it the house you're in now?
No. So this was 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But that little house took care of me and Lila. We actually moved in the night before the snowpocalypse in Austin, if you remember that time.
Yeah.
It was a very gnarly transition. I remember not knowing. I was so scared. Everyone's power was out, but our power stayed on, and that little house took care of us for many years. So I just knowing no one's coming to save me, I have to do something different this time. And so...
And just diving straight into the deep end.
It was at a point where I don't think anyone has to just like uproot their life. I do call it unhinged. I do think like you can have passions and turn them into hobbies, that they don't have to be your job. But at the time, and honestly, truly, just knowing how my brain works and really getting to know and listen to yourself and learning how your brain works, mine lives in a color world. And so just really burning my world down to get back into a place that's safe enough to speak my language. This will sound severe, but I would have rather been physically dead than continue living in such a spiritually, emotionally dead space. It felt like every cell in my body had died at that point, but that's kind of what I needed to walk through in order to finally do something different.
You lost the color.
Yeah, there was no color. And actually, you'll see when I first started painting, and these paintings, the print work is still really popular to this day, but those first paintings are totally void of color. They're all like sepia toned, and each collection sense has just been a reflection of what I'm noticing and listening to that's going on in my life and others' lives. But that's really when art clicked for me. I had always painted colorful, cartoony type things that I'd paint for a couple months and then drop it. But the way that something becomes sustainable is when it's aligned, which means paying attention to every moment and capturing that. And so when I finally took the color out, oh my gosh, you could not take my brushes away from me. It was like, this is it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I purposely was alone for a year. I was like, friends, entertaining, dating. What is that? Just
no thanks.
Figuring out single parenthood. It was very hard. I do think choosing your hard. Everything is going to be hard. So choosing the hard option that brings you the most peace and alignment in your life, I'd pick that choice any day.
How did your art evolve over that year?
It was probably close to about a year of being alone. I had never been alone. Like since college, I had been in a almost decade-long relationship. And so it was really important to me to sit and feeling so scared. I had no idea what I liked, what I wanted. I honestly, it freaked me out of just, who are you? Like without your parents' expectations of what you should be when you grow up, without your partner's expectations of what you should continue doing for them, for you, whatever. I had no idea. And so sitting alone for the year, the paintings were void of color, but then there's an entire green series afterwards. I remember doing the first green painting, and then, I don't know, there were probably 10 more after that. And not consciously knowing, this is the beginning of healing. Looking back now, the very first painting, which if there's any painting I could ever buy back or want to have in the future, this would definitely be probably the one. And it was titled After the Rain.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just prolific in me getting the basis of what is my like process right now. That painting really taught me a lot. It was, green happened. And then when I started dating, they turned red. Like red and orange. And
my gosh.
Again, consciously at the time, I had no idea, but I finally was learning to listen to myself. And so now I know, oh my gosh, like I dream in colors. I dream of people in colors. These are important things. But at the time, I wasn't aware that I was really doing that. But I was at least finally able to listen to myself enough to know, I'm feeling a little spicier right now. Or, we're really healing right now. Like I can take a breath. I feel like hope and renewal. So it's fun looking back now and seeing the different collections as almost snapshots of life and what I've learned from them.
And you're painting purple now.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of purple.
Where did that come from?
So that started about September of last year. I had just finished an art show. And I usually take off a month or two. I paint slow. So I was painting for about 10 months.
Help the audience understand what it takes to do work for an art show.
Gotcha. So just art show prep in general, I call it marathon training. I paint for about 6 to 12 hours a day for months. And I also describe it as just a cave mindset. I really require much lower stimulation in all other parts of my life. And it can be pretty taxing. It's a discipline unlike anything else. And I mean, if you can imagine just looking at a blank canvas every day and focusing enough to create, I mean, I can really get into my opinion on like the pressure of making something beautiful.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, there's a lot to that.
I've never thought of it, like the pressure that you have as an artist.
Well, everyone will say, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You just go paint pretty flowers and you think of Bob Ross every day." And I'm like, I wish it was like that. Not that it's not enjoyable, but it is a practice in, I mean, all of the painting really just leads to overall life themes. And so in general, I tend to think if you have any result-based thinking, you've got to throw it out the window. If you think like this is the composition I've got to make and it's got to be beautiful, regardless of whatever goal you've got going on in life.
Yeah.
For me, it's a completion of a painting. It's not sustainable. You will likely get that result, but you will miss everything on the way to it because all you've got in the forefront of your mind is blockers to anything except for obtaining that specific result. And I've since found there's no way I could have painted all of these years, all of these paintings with that in mind.
Sure.
I've now found that my job, I mean, I think the job of any artist, but I really think a goal for any human to have is just staying as present as possible. And my job specifically is to notice. So I've got to be really good at listening and hearing and seeing people and myself because I want to capture what I'm noticing in every moment and trusting and now seeing over and over and over again hundreds of times in painting form and in life form that when you stay present in each moment, you're deeply connecting. That leads to a trust that by the time you get to the result, it's more beautiful than anything you could have ever imagined on your own. Like there's no result thinking that could have ever produced what ended up happening. And so it really just comes down to a deep intention of staying present and trusting the unknown. Like seek the unknown, stay in it. Something wild's going to happen. Trust that the river leads to the ocean. It will happen.
Which is a very vulnerable place to be. And us as mothers, it's so hard to it's like we're managing so many things to find that space. And we'll come back to the presence conversation because I think it's a really important one. But there's so many things swirling around in our head to be able to find the space to have the presence.
Oh, I mean, the invisible to-do list is unreal. I will say this is like 5 years of active art therapy a day to get me to this point. If you talked to me 5 years ago, the overwhelm, it was extreme.
Yeah.
It's just, you've got to be the most anticipatory. You got to have your shit together to meet. I mean, what's the saying? You've got to work like you don't have kids and then be with your kids like you don't work. And the expectations are quite daunting.
Sadly, it's true. And that's what we're hoping to systematically shift with these conversations is no, you don't have to work like you don't have kids. And you don't have to be a parent like you don't work. Like that's just not realistic.
No, it's not. And it's not pretty a lot of the ways to have to go about these things. And especially if you're a people pleaser like I've been, and much less so, I still am, but it's a lot of learning to let go and not sitting in pretty spaces sometimes. And it's worth it.
Well, one of the prettiest spaces is this beautiful babe.
Thanks. I was just thinking about how I used to sacrifice so much sleep for these things, and I won't do that anymore, thinking, wait, I'm about to go right back to the sleep deprivation.
I know.
Coming.
It is coming. When are you due?
I'm 31 weeks, so we've got 9 weeks.
Oh my goodness, so soon.
So yeah, it's exciting.
How has this little one, which we don't know boy or girl?
No, I love surprises now.
Yeah.
5 years ago, Aileen would not have liked the surprises.
Oh, really?
But, no, the overwhelm of it, no way. And just sitting in the unknown. Like, if I could go back and hug that Aileen that sat in my house alone for a year. I'd give her the biggest hug and the biggest thank you for gifting to me just the tolerance of being able to sit in the unknown. Now I love it. I think it's so fun.
Wow.
So yeah, we love a surprise. We don't know if it's a boy or girl.
I'm just envisioning you going back and giving yourself a hug 5 years ago.
Yeah. I do it much more often now. And especially when I started just growing more out of the overwhelm, one thing that really helped, I'm an artist, so I'm very visual.
Yeah.
Maybe other people are too. But when I would hold my daughter's hand walking, and if I was struggling with something, which was 99% of the time, I would grip my other hand as if I was holding another little hand, but I have a picture of myself around my daughter's age that I have up in her room. And I would literally picture myself holding my little version of me on the other side, and it would bring me to tears a lot, but it would really help me.
I'm tearing up right now.
It sounds so silly, but I'm like, visuals like that have just really helped me. They felt like a catalyst to healing where I can, again, I'm so visual. So just knowing like I can physically feel the mother in me caring for my daughter and the mother in me caring for all the parts that feel scary are coming from that little version of yourself. So being able to just visualize, I am walking with you and you are like so safe. We're just taking one step after another and we're okay. Like I got you. It changed everything for me.
Wow. I am like, one, it's again, it's a very vulnerable place to be, to open up that entire part of your existence and to bring it into the present day.
For sure.
It's like, whoa, like just me envisioning doing that for myself. There's so much that opens up.
Next time you're on a walk outside with your kids or even by yourself. I remember doing this for the first time down in the Greenbelt with Lila. It was my first time taking her to hike down there. And I don't know why that popped into my head then. I mean, being in nature just, it really reminds you you're not alone. And sometimes your most creative thoughts come out then. But that popped into my head, and it's been a practice I've done ever since.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, we're all complex people. So when you really think about, like, I've probably got a lot of little parts of me that are stuck in there. Our brains have patterns that really form when we're little. I mean, if visualizing walking with your little self brings you to tears, like, there's a lot to look at and talk to, and it's helped me a lot.
There's a type of therapy called internal family systems, IFS, which is basically that. So you are doing a form of IFS.
Amazing.
I am not going to do it justice, but the construct is you have a family system within yourself, and being able to accept and acknowledge moments that have happened or stages in your life, and some of them are suppressed. They're called exiled. Some of them are firefighters who are trying to say, everything's fine, and keep the exiles away.
Oh.
And then there's one more that I'm forgetting. But I've just started to embark on it with a woman here in Austin who's amazing. She's like a therapist and a chiropractor and a healer, but she integrates all of these things. And she's brought this IFS approach to me. And it has taken things from when I was 5 years old, where she was like, what happened when you were 5? And I was like, I don't know what happened when I was 5. But then she takes you through this process for you to acknowledge that part of your family system internally. So you hear family system, you're like, oh, my parents, it's like, no, it's you.
Yes.
So that's what you're doing by holding the hand of the younger version of you.
For sure. I challenge you to one more thing while you're doing that, because this also is a visual that's really helped, is pretend you're holding their hand and pretend you're walking down a hallway where there's all these closed doors. I really think our brains are just filled with doors.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have been shut tight, sealed tight for a reason. Walk with her and start opening some of those doors. And I do think that's just the journey of life, is going through like the greatest adventures in our minds. And you open up those doors, you see what's in there. And sometimes it'll do much. You can close the door and you can reopen it later. But I think just the visual of walking together and opening up the doors that have been shut is lifelong practice. And for me in particular, my brain likes to think in colors and in landscapes. That's my primary composition in painting. I get asked all the time, like, can you paint people, animals? I can't. I absolutely refuse. It's not what I want to spend my time doing. I think in landscapes. And for me, I think every door opens up a new landscape. And so that's also what I'm trying to capture in my artwork. So
one of the other parts of IFS is when you open those doors to have that moment. And then over the course of the days and weeks ahead, because you're opening a door to an exile.
yes.
Is to check in with that exile. So it's not this moment in time. This is what my healer has taught me. She's like, okay, we've just opened this door. She's like, talk to her every day. Even if it's when you're putting your daughter to bed at night, turn and talk to her because she's going to be afraid that she's going to get put away again.
For sure.
And so the reminder of, oh, I need to check in with myself. So that exile doesn't feel like the door's going to get shut again.
Yeah, that's there's been a pattern of it. And what did they say? The neurons that fire together, wire together. So the more often you do something, this will be a little bit of a tangent, but it brings in my nurse background. One of my focuses, I worked in a neuro ICU, and I loved stroke patients. I had a particular love for them because we would have situations where you're totally paralyzed on one side or you've lost your ability to speak or comprehend or whatnot. And seeing the neuroplasticity that happens with some of these patients in their daily therapies, it was unbelievable, the miracles that would happen. And it really showed me, I mean, so much of life can be emotional, but if you strip that emotion away and you really look at your brain and understand this is a space where, yeah, there are doors closed, wires are like certain highways, but I can create new ones by doing new patterns every day. If you have to set a reminder on your phone every day to do something for 5 seconds a day to get you in a new pattern, your brain will generate new neurons. And just seeing the miracles that happen from stroke patients, and also just seeing how I am in this day, in this chapter, compared to a few years ago, it's unbelievable to me, knowing and feeling my brain feels different.
I mean, is it all self-taught?
I mean, I definitely had a therapist at the time, but I really do think when you're sitting alone for hours a day, and my job really is, I think, the role of an artist. I mean, when I was little, I always said I want to grow up and be an artist. And to me, it was just painting pretty things. And now knowing, like, my job really is just to notice. It's not a conscious effort now, but my job is literally to take my inner reality, which is noticing what's going on around me and the world, and really deeply listening and putting that into the material world. And so the practice of doing that daily, you can't help but notice all the things going on in your life.
Yeah.
And I will say I was a stereotypical nurse where I was so busy taking care of everyone else because I didn't want to look at my own stuff. And so the minute I started listening and noticing, I realized, like, oh, there's a lot going on.
In the world today, I think a lot of us stay busy with the noise around us to not deal with those things.
Oh, for sure. I have a hot tip for that. Like, there's usually to me not a black and white, like, do this, it will really help. This isn't a shortcut or anything, but one tangible thing that I had heard about but never really understood why people did it was acupuncture. I kid you not. If you are someone that cannot sit still, like if you're bad at watching movies, moms, I know y'all are constantly taking every second to do, like, you're like, oh my God, I have 10 minutes to fold laundry. I'm going to, like, get the dinner started early, whatever. This is for you. Acupuncture took me laying on a table covered in needles for an hour to sit still for an hour. And that was really hard. And I signed up. I had heard various reasons why people do acupuncture. You're like, okay, so I'm not going to do it because I don't understand what it's doing. But I will tell you, for the sole reason that the ability to be still in your own thoughts and start noticing things, whether you have family goals, career goals, whatever, that personal relationship that you develop in yourself has to come from a place of stillness and awareness. And it literally took needles all over my body where I'm like, I literally can't move. That is my tangible, please put yourself on a table with acupuncture needles.
It is true.
And after doing that for a while, that has been my greatest tool in just if I'm in a state of overwhelm and needing to remind myself, because when you're overwhelmed, the to-do list gets really big. And you're like, if I can just check off more things, I'll feel better. Where it's the reverse for me now, which is I'm going to feel better and sit with the angst and the overwhelm. And then the to-do list, all of a sudden, those things can get pushed back even more.
Yeah.
It becomes less of an overwhelm, but that's taken years. The acupuncture aspect, though, as soon as I started that, I realized after a few sessions just how important it was to, out of the 7-day week, which I'll say work week for me. I work on weekends too. It doesn't really feel like work for me when I have the time I want to paint.
I also enjoy the nap.
Oh, yeah?
I fall asleep.
I do sometimes too, but it's
Nice.
almost like riding the deepest brink of relaxation, but not being fully asleep.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's a full rest.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me another frame of reference of, oh my gosh, I don't think my brain has known how to relax. I don't think I've ever done this before. And so having that frame of reference and knowing the magic, especially in my practice for painting, the magic comes from the subconscious, which really can only be accessed when you're relaxed. And so now, this will sound wild, but when I go to acupuncture now or when I meditate, it feels like I'm tripping balls. Like the colors, the geometry
cool.
that it's like I'm hallucinating. It's become the craziest thing. And now I know when I am seeing those things, my brain is relaxed. And the colors that I see in those times translate to the colors I'm painting in a collection. So, yeah.
I need more of that. I recently got an Aura ring, which is fascinating.
Oh, nice.
But it tracks your stress level in your body. And it's not stress as we think of stress. It's like physical stress on the body, like your nervous system. And unfortunately, mine is just in the stress zone all day. And it's supposed to go up and down. It's like stressed, engaged, relaxed, restored, whatever.
Okay.
You're trying to get into restored as much as you can. And it's really, in the last 6 weeks, I've been like, what is going on? Like, I need to stop and figure out how to reset my nervous system. Because I think I'm bebopping around the day. I don't feel stressed. I'm happy. My kids are healthy. Everything's great. But my Aura ring is like stress.
That's
I'm like,
such a good tool to have.
whoa.
Because most of us aren't aware, like you said,
No.
we're just kind of going through.
And it's your nervous system. So to your point, getting on a table and just like downshifting.
Yeah, that's my Aura ring is my acupuncture appointment is realizing, oh my gosh, we haven't sat still this week.
I want to go back to Aileen as a child and an artist. And you told me the story once how when you did self-portraits as a child, you always drew the freckle on your head.
Yes. It's so sweet. My mom gave me those drawings recently and I like showing Lila. It's pretty incredible. Just having, art is just a snapshot of a moment in history. So having my own self-portraits, they probably started, my mom probably has, 8 of them, and they're from probably around age, I would say 4 or 5 at the youngest, to probably about age 9 or 10. And you can tell as my skill gets better, my face shapes get more accurate and whatnot. But the younger drawings, you can tell who Aileen is because I drew my forehead freckle like this big, just huge. It was a huge target. Like, this is me. This is my forehead freckle that I've always had. And I always drew my family. It was 4 of us. And Aileen had the biggest head with the biggest forehead freckle. And then you see as I get older, I get smaller. My whole body and face shape gets smaller. And the freckle just turns into a pinpoint. And then in one of them, it's not even there. And so just witnessing and seeing, as a young kid, like I got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I remember being made fun of for my freckle in school. We all get made fun of as kids, but I really identified with it as a little kid, and I was so proud of it. I was shouting it from the rooftops, like, look at me.
Yeah.
And then it just disappeared. And so it is interesting to see, like, that is what happens. Children are born with just a pure love and steadiness in ourselves, and along the way we forget. And it's within family, systems, society, whatever it is, it's 1,000 reasons. And so I think it's our responsibility when you become an adult to look at, well, what are all these layers that I've built up to feel cushioned and safe, and knowing you're safe now. You're an adult now. You can start stripping those back and really looking at it. And community is everything. So having support while you're doing that, because it is the scariest thing in the world. But knowing that as a human, my art tagline is uncovering landscapes with a paintbrush while exploring the human condition. It's not rocket science. Humans are inherently flawed, complex beings that are supposed to suffer and feel pain. Again, it's all hard. Choose your heart and don't be alone in it. That doesn't mean a romantic partner or whatnot, but it means seek connection in everything. It can, even when I was a single mom and I had a hard time just being around people, I felt super overwhelmed from just a decade of survival. And I took Lila to state parks all the time. We would throw food in a little cooler and go to the park every day. I picked her up after daycare. And I didn't feel alone in nature. I mean, call nature Lila's babysitter. She learned to play with rocks and sticks and creeks and whatnot. And I never felt alone. I'm like, community doesn't have to be people. Just don't be sitting in your house alone. Get outside and move.
You and Lila often find water.
Yes.
What is it about going to Barton Creek in the morning before you start your day?
Oh my gosh.
Or Barton Springs.
Yeah, but honestly, any body of water. But Barton Springs for me, and for many, if you go in the morning, it's a different place. It's magical. I feel like the heart of Austin is Barton Springs before 8 a.m., which is free, by the way, before 8 a.m. So if money is even a thing, go before 8. It's free.
For our listeners who aren't in Austin, tell us a little bit about Barton
Springs. Okay, so it's a natural spring-fed, considered sacred body of water in Austin. I and many say if anything ever happened to it, I gotta go.
Yeah.
That body of water has been around for hundreds of years and has been a sacred gathering place for so many different types of folks. And the water stays about 68 degrees all year round. So in our hot summers, it is a shockingly cold jump to get into. But in the morning, when it's not so hot outside, it feels more like a cozy blanket being wrapped around you because the temperature contrast isn't so big. But in the winter, it's even more fun because it's below 68 degrees in the air and you get in the water and it actually feels warm and there's steam coming off of it. And it's open year round. So I go in the winter. I go all the time.
As does baby.
As does baby. Yeah. It's actually interesting. This pregnancy, I had Lila 7 years ago, and this pregnancy has been so much smoother. I really think because of swimming at Barton for most days. I really think that water is something special. And in general, I consider myself a water baby. Lila is as well. But I think when you are going through anything in life, again, I'm visual, but just the tactile bit of being in water also taught me so much. So when you're floating in water, you're being carried. When you are outside of your home, in nature, but especially when you're sitting in water, there's literally an element carrying you. So if you feel alone, go get in water. You are being carried. And the parts where I just wanted to scream, where the overwhelming anxiety was so big, and I would be in a river, and there's one, the San Marcos River in particular I like to go to. I would hold on to a tree branch while being in the water and just lay in the water and feel the rushing, like rapid going over me. And it literally felt like I was being washed of the emotion I was experiencing, which was usually like some high anxiety. Yeah. And so I have always gone to the water, but in these later years really realized just how much the touch aspect of feeling carried, feeling it washing me clean, crying my tears into it. And then there's this awakening. Like the cold water really makes you feel awake and rejuvenated and alive.
Yeah.
And you'll see the people there in the morning, they are well. There's a bunch of 90-year-olds there. And I've even heard
The original ice bath.
Yes. I've heard a man who he looked like he was probably in his 40s swimming with his dad who looked like he was probably in his 80s or 90s and saying, "Dad, I just want you to come here with me more often because I really think it's going to help you live longer. Like, I really need you to be around longer." And it made me tear up hearing, but you hear conversations like that all the time in the morning. Like, there is something special to that water, and people, no matter their age, no matter anything, in that water, they look well. And if you just constantly get to be around that type of environment, it's the best free medicine I've got.
What's Lila's relationship with art?
She reminds me so much of myself, and just watching her with her big feelings and the things she'll say and the way she'll scream sometime. I look at her and think, I used to feel like that, but I definitely could not verbally express it like that. I learned to get quiet really young. That was what I needed to do at the time to be safe and to like receive love. I had to get quiet. And seeing Lila when she is struggling with something or when she's really happy with something, she naturally just gravitates. I mean, I've kind of lived my childhood through her by setting up a whole station. Of course.
Yeah.
And like that, it makes parenting fun. Like you get to be a child with your child. So I have a whole craft station for her with all the art materials I always wanted. And so she has a space that she naturally gravitates towards because she knows that's freedom for her. So she'll be able to pick out whatever she wants to create whatever she wants. And she will write to me when she is very mad. And she'll write to me when she's very happy. And just having her take it out of her body and apply it to something material, the greatest thing I'll ever do if she's really upset about something. And if she's saying language she shouldn't be saying or just acting all out of sorts, if I go get a writing utensil, a drawing tool, whatever, and a piece of paper, and I put it in front of her, even just letting them scribble it out, another catalyst to just, you've got to feel it and move through it in order to let it go. And so having her establish at a young age, this is the freedom to be able to express yourself. She actively does it. And I'm slowly turning our house into her little art gallery, which she's thrilled about. So she can just see, like, this is important. She's learning at 7 years old what took me in my early 30s to learn. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens from that. But I think it's incredible.
Art therapy.
Exactly. So, yeah, she really gravitates towards doing that now. And I brought one piece, a silly little one to show you.
Well, let's do it.
You want to see?
So on the pod, we do Breadwinner artifacts, which are really 3 to 5 pieces of something, an artifact that expresses you as a mom, as an artist, as a wife. And so I'm excited to see what you brought.
Yay. Let's start with Lila's item. So she has a bunch of artwork at home, but this one really represents just I call it structuring for freedom. That's my business motto and my just family motto, where we do not have a schedule full of plans because I just think spontaneity and
I agree.
Just deciding like we're just going to go get in the car and go to the river. It's the highest of the high. And so we've been going to the river her entire life. And so this is the river that she drew at school. It made me so happy drawing herself with the seaweed in the river and saying, this is the river. It is beautiful.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
And refreshing, and you can swim in it. And just knowing this is the evidence that it's impacting her. Us going, she feels refreshed. She thinks it's beautiful.
And it's carrying her.
Yeah. And her just writing this is letting me know, oh my gosh, I know I'm going because it feels good to me. I see that she's having fun, but I really think it's a huge part of our family, just us, the sense of adventure and being refreshed and being our time out in nature. That's how we spend most of our time. And
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, maybe it's a little bit easier because our kids are younger. Lila's getting a little bit older, but I fully embrace the structuring for freedom because I feel like in today's world, everything's overly orchestrated for kids.
oh my gosh,
And it's all good intentions
for sure.
to have them learn new things and explore new things, but we're kind of taking that step back of like, let's just be. Like they have things after school, but we try not to overplan our weekends because life will get busy when they get older.
For
So it's
sure. We have schedules our
try
whole
and
lives.
protect those precious few years to be able to hop in the car and go to the river.
Exactly. I just think that spontaneous play, especially, it's a activity where you as a parent too get to be a child and feel refreshed, which is not me sitting on the sidelines watching soccer practice, which we're doing, but we're also not going to do piano lessons in 5 different other clubs. And then we're going to attend 5 birthday parties that weekend.
Yeah.
Like it's too much. Granted, a lot of those things are really great and we've gotten better at just picking a few of those so that we're not overworked so that we can go do this stuff.
Yeah, I like that. It's really nice. It's a good reminder. Because
Sure.
you can all of a sudden wake up and you're like, whoa, we're running around like crazy.
I know.
And we're exhausted.
It's so draining. I can't do it. And then just going into my job where I know this is the stuff, the being present and outside that continues to help me stay connected with my family, with myself. And that's the magic that goes into the paintings. I'm like, oh, my job is literally to play so that I can paint.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to go play.
Okay, what's the second artifact?
Okay, second, I just brought a painting palette. One, because obviously it's my job, but just at home every day with Lila. Not every day, but oftentimes when I first started painting, it felt like a very selfish activity. When I was a nurse, I was painting a little bit, but I remember just since I was 5 years old saying I want to grow up and be an artist. And then by the time I was a nurse, for some reason, the story I'd put in my head of painting is a selfish activity. I don't know why that was so ingrained in me, but I paint at home for fun with Lila and then paint at my job now. And I've come to learn the similarities between my nursing job and my role as a mother and my role as a painter are way more blended and similar.
What are the similarities?
Well, there's just so much of a nurturing aspect to creating that I didn't realize. And again, I had a story that it was very selfish. This isn't something that I should really dive into. And then realizing my painting process started from when I was a critical care nurse. I was usually teaching another nurse most shifts. And I mean, you're taking care of actively dying folks. You are very busy. But I would teach the nurses the 30 minutes you're giving a bed bath are the most important 30 minutes of your entire 12 to 13-hour shift because it's the act of touch. You can scrub your patient really quickly to get onto your next task, but I promise you, if you're getting a warm bucket of water and warm towels and putting the soap in there and you are literally petting, soothing someone with love, I will tell you the miracles that have happened from intentionally loving someone that way. It's better than any medicine I've ever seen. And so when I started painting, actually this brings in this object, is Lila's birth cloth. I started using burp cloths, which were kind of like my patient's towels, and applying the same like motions I would do for a patient's bed bath on the canvas. It's just really brought to light to me that being an artist or art in general isn't just slapping paint onto something. I mean, you hear all the stories of just masters in the past and just unhinged things they would do and ears cutting off and whatnot. Like, we're not mentally well people. And so taking the time.
Who is really? Who
true,
is?
Very, very true. I mean, it's like displayed for everyone to see in your artwork. And so the process for me of just applying the paint in the same way that I would give a patient a bath, it showed me like, oh my gosh, I took these minutes. I can care for someone all day, every day. And now that this is an act of doing it for myself, and I do it for Lila. Like, it's really changed so much for me. And so learning, like, art is a continual practice of not only noticing, but when you notice and you apply a loving aspect to it, the just abundance that can come from that in you and others, there's a massive ripple effect.
You said to me once that kind of your life's purpose is the art of devotion.
It is.
And that what you just described feels like that.
Yes, I could talk forever on just motherhood, art, religion, just a practice where you are devoted, stepping out of the sense of self, really kind of pats down your ego. I think mothers, as much of a trial it is, especially with your first baby, with you don't know what's going to happen. There's no frame of reference there. It is a wide...
The fear of the unknown in those first few months is
overwhelming.
Is beyond overwhelming.
I've been calling it just a dismantling. It's a total dismantle of everything you've known.
It is.
And I do think that the more I think about just humans evolving in general, I think that women have a very special tool of your body can carry a child when, if, in whatever capacity you are rearing a child. Man, there are growing pains. If you remember that there are growing pains, sometimes you can see the forest through the trees, but knowing that kind of forced upon act of being devoted to something other than yourself really has leaps and bounds for the rest of your life. Like, I mean, you have now 3 beautiful babies.
Yeah.
By that third baby, you're just so much more present. And it's such an honor to be devoted to something else other than yourself.
Yeah.
Because it really just totally changes your concept on free time, on just your own passions in yourself and where you want to expend your energy. It's precious and limited, and being devoted to something gives you something outside of yourself to have hope in, to pursue. I think when we all get out of ourselves,
which is very hard to do
for the world.
I know. Okay, what's your next artifact?
Okay, this one is not just the book, but I do love antiquing and just frequenting vintage and thrift
you're a round top
shops.
pro.
I also love looking for books, and this one in particular, home for me is the Texas Hill Country, and so I tend to paint it quite a bit. And so any book on the Texas Hill Country I gravitate towards, and this is called Texas Heartland, a Hill Country year, which is great in itself, but the dedication or the inscription in here is something I look at weekly in the studio. So I keep this there. And this was a gift from, I'll assume, a wife to a husband or a partner to a partner. But it says, "Happy 21st anniversary to Jack. May this book ease the time until you can set up camp in the Hill Country. Love, Jane. The beauties are many."
Oh,
and I read this, and something about it has stuck all these years of just a reminder. One, I can deeply feel her love. I'm like, Jane, you're talking to me too. Not just to Jack. But I do feel like I've always craved to just pack up and go move out in a way. Life has seemingly felt like it could be easier if I was just alone out in the hill country with nature. And there's been so many times as I've evolved over the years and just gone through different trials and tribulations of realizing wherever you are, you should be all there. Keep dreaming. This gives me the hope of yes, continue to dream. The beauties are many, as she puts that out. It just reminds me that the present moment that we are in, the beauties are many, but yes, keep dreaming.
That feels like your motto. The beauties are many.
I know, and she wrote that. I mean, she
wrote
really
that to
spoke
you.
to me, and it's really helps me with that concept of knowing, like, when I was a single mom, when I was staying in a place that isn't exactly where I thought I would be. Actually, my entire life has been something that I wasn't never pictured for myself. And in those times, especially when there were things that I didn't want, sitting and reminding myself of the things in this present moment that really are quite beautiful. I mean, they say what you believe in is really what becomes your outer reality. And as that's just become more and more of a practice in my life, and I look around now, I'm like, you're going to have a lens, like a rose-colored lens, whether you believe that you're inherently bad or whether you just, I don't know, just
Your
believe
outlook.
that. Yeah, exactly. And this isn't like a please be super positive. Like I totally used to be a half glass full type of person, and realizing now things don't have to be good or bad. They just are what they are. But if you choose to see, oh my gosh, in the midst of me worrying about making my money to pay off my rent, I happen to be sitting in the backyard and there's a dang bumblebee in this flower. And now all of a sudden, like, being present towards that, I've eased myself in a way where working is easier. I go to work now, I'm not as stressed. I can think better. I can breathe better. And all of that's translated to just more efficiency in the times that I do work, letting go of people's expectations, and really, honestly, client satisfaction in general. When I've let go of all that and really focused on what is present, am I an artist or am I a business? Oh, I'm an artist, so I'm going to focus on those things. The business has thrived. The family has thrived. So yeah, summarizing it as present as I can be and really stepping out of my own head and the to-do list. Marking the things off the to-do list didn't make me feel better. It was getting outside and paying attention to what was around me.
But I think for a lot of working moms and working parents, the being present part is really hard.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's like this physical, like I have to be there. I have to go pick up my kids from school. I have to get to their soccer practice. I have to play with them. But then there's this like emotional, mental presence. And you've talked about with me, which has really hit home for me and what I try and take home to my family, is this idea of stillness, which is a learned trait.
It takes so long. It's so worth it.
I don't know how to be still. But this idea, everybody wants to be present. But I think it takes a lot, and it looks different for everybody. So how did you get to that point where you can look at a bumblebee and a flower?
I remember there's been distinct points where I used to ride my bike to work every day. I still do a lot of the times, but now I take my time of getting outside and moving my body. I'm much more aware of how it affects me. And when I am feeling more just stirred up, like I can't sit still. The to-do list, suddenly I'm telling my husband, oh my gosh, we have to do blah, 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 blah. You have to do blah, 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 blah. Those are the moments where I know, go take a walk.
Yeah.
So literally, it's as simple as taking a walk. Take your kid with you. Actually, Lila asks for a walk every evening. It's been our habit where when you feel like you can't add another thing to your plate, go take a walk. And that slow, forced pace, don't bring your phone. Do not bring your phone. Lock that thing up.
I know.
I think they say if you're they actually like recommend if you're about to go on a date and feeling super nervous, put your phone away for an hour and go on a walk, because that's really, it only takes a little bit of time to just kind of reset. And I know especially for Lila, when she was little and when I was first building my business, I just felt like I had to be accessed at all times. And then if I'm walking with her, I could also be on my phone and answer this email real quick and take this call. I mean, our phones are meant to be addictive.
Right.
Get a lockbox. I didn't actually have to do that yet, but I thought I was close. Lock it up.
I probably
seal it
need
away. Honestly, I'm like the hours we'd pick up our kids. So say like, I don't know, between 3 and 4 in their bedtime, lock that thing up and get them outside and take a walk. Go all around, have no plan on where to go. And that slowed pace, you're going to be like probably freaking out a bit, thinking, oh my gosh, I need to go home and start this dinner prep and blah, blah, blah. I would say the latter half of your walk, you're paying more attention to, oh my gosh, we walked by this house 8 times in the last month, and this is new, and this is new. And over time, it just becomes more noticing. And I also, this may be a hippy-dippy thought, But
I love hippy dippy. Hit me.
so far, these things have really worked out for me when I do them. I am really a proponent of our thoughts. Our thoughts can be in almost bubbles. And when we're inside with the ceiling, especially when you're having a hard time, there's a thought that is anxious and overwhelmed, and it's going to go up and it's going to hit that ceiling and it's going to come right back to you and just bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong. I really think that. But when you go outside, those same thoughts are going to go up into the sky to wherever the thoughts go, and it's going to blow away. And when people say, I don't think there's a coincidence too.
I love that.
When people say, oh my gosh, my most creative ideas and aha moments come when I'm out on a walk or riding my bike or whatnot. Like I'm hiking in the woods and all of a sudden this brilliant, life-changing idea. Like that's not a coincidence. One, you're outside. Yeah. I also think there's a bunch of thoughts hanging out.
Sure.
That you have access to when you're outside. And I really think we've become really sheltered in our inside worlds, but kids especially. When I have a friend talking about how they're like, how do you get your kid just to be well behaved? I'm like, she's not. We go outside.
Yeah.
Her and I, we do not do well inside. And now as my just overall nervous system and thoughts are a bit more I can hang out inside, but I'm still going to prefer to go outside. When you go out there, there's just much more of a release happening. And I do think along your walk, when you're taking your kid, more of those just hard thoughts will be released. More presence will come in. Yeah. And over time, you'll have access to even just more creative, fun, playful thoughts. And so the key is just get outside and get moving.
You've also brought up this mindset, and I think Ryan taught this to you.
Probably.
Or you told me you did. Survival versus stillness.
Survival versus stillness. I'm trying to think of how he would have said it.
It was more about the modes that you're in. I think the conversation was around being present. And it was more around okay, I'm just going to survive this moment. We have to just get to bedtime.
Yeah.
Versus taking those moments and stripping everything away and being still
living
with
in
that.
each one.
Yeah.
You know what it feels like when you're trying to survive your kid's bedtime, and then by the time they're asleep, you are so emotionally exhausted. I never want to go back to that. Actually, yesterday, I was just third trimester wiped. And I was thinking that. I was like, you know what? Lila's going to go to bed at 6:30, 7 o'clock. I am so tired. And I did let myself lay down. You are allowed to lay down and take a bit, for sure.
You are allowed to lie down.
Pregnant or not, I do think just being honest with your kids, too. So I said to Lila, hey, Mommy needs a timeout for about 15 minutes to just reset, and then we're going to have a time in, and then we're going to play hide and seek. She respected my time. I was good laying down for a bit, and then just knowing, oh my gosh, I'm really being tired, totally fine. But then more thoughts of overwhelm start coming in of, oh my gosh, I have this for work. I have this going on in this relationship. My friend is going through blah, blah, all the things. Laying still is hard.
It is very hard.
Especially when you're tired. Your threshold's much lower. And so anyways, I took those minutes to lay, and then when we got up and played, I was having way too much fun playing. And we're not good at playing as adults. You actually have to practice how to play.
Truly.
And so when you all played hide and go seek with us,
I know.
So fun. But at first
it was so fun.
You're like, oh my gosh, how many rounds of this do I have to do?
It kind of feels like a chore where it's like, I'm playing for my kids.
Yes. It feels like a chore because it is a chore at first. Yeah. And then the more you do it, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to find the best hiding spot ever. She's never going to find me.
Like you and
I'm like, you. I'm getting back into my little kid self. They're not going to find me. They're going to think I ran away. This is going to be the best spot ever. You'll get there one day. And all of a sudden the hours go by. And I'm like, holy we need to eat dinner. We need a shower. It's past your bedtime because we had way too much fun playing. And so having those mindsets now. And again, my partner is the most playful big kid. So he's really taught me about play too. And I can say, when your kid when you're sitting inside trying to play some game of theirs that is just horrible, you're allowed to not like it and find an activity you both enjoy. And I promise you, it's probably outside.
Yeah.
So go outside.
This is probably for our second episode when I have you on again. But I do think that that idea of finding presence and finding your joyfulness and your own youthful self has a lot to do with mental health. And we've been talking about the mental health aspect, which is a critical one because it's foundational to your success as a mother and as a wife and as a career person. But it obviously just it doesn't obviously. It often takes a backseat. And we've had conversations around ourselves and our family members and being able to, I think it comes back to this idea of community, to be able to support yourselves so you can be at least aware of those moments because you can't avoid them. It's sitting in the hard stuff. So what is your advice for sitting in the hard stuff in a way that allows you to allow it to be a piece of you versus allowing it to bring you down?
I think that when you're sitting in just presence, that's an awareness. So I actually really, to me, is no such thing as like just seeking happiness. There's finding joy, but paying attention to I am really sad. I am really tired. A lot of that stuff comes down to I am really fearful, tired of doing the same things. I'm angry, whatever it is. I don't think it's so much a practice of like, let me do things to kind of distract me from those feelings and get out of it. It's actually just sitting and being totally honest and allowing that to come in. And then please have community. It's not something I sought out at first. And again, you do not have to have a romantic partner or whatnot to have community. I mean, at first, it was friends that became basically sister wives.
Yeah.
And letting them know too, like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. And I do think, again, as moms, we have a tool of we're here to rear and raise these children, but you're really re-raising yourself too. So you're getting an active practice every day. So the times where I'm down, I'm being honest with myself about it. And I'm also telling Lila, hey, mommy's feeling X, Y, and Z. I need some extra love and support right now. Because when she's feeling that, when they're so grumpy for whatever 1,000 reasons, I'll ask her, hey, do you need some extra love and support right now? And we figure out what that is. And so I think just giving yourself this conscious awareness of this is what I'm feeling. It's not only okay, but you please feel that. It's the only way to move through it. Yeah, affirming that awareness of it. It's not, you're not meant to shift it or change it, just the steps of being aware of it. It'll start turning into letting go. One last visual, again, everything I have is a visual. When I first started doing this, you'll hear artists or really anybody talk about just like a flow state. And the more I was in a flow state painting or whatnot, the more I could just like tangibly be able to describe it. And it literally felt like floating down a river. And I could actively feel the years and the moments where I wasn't floating, where I was clinging to a rock. Like, you can feel the water going by you. There is a flow, there is a direction. You're not taking steps because you're clinging. And the moments where I've just been honest with, this is what I'm experiencing. It is okay to have this. Let go and just let the current take you where it needs to go. I say all rivers lead to the ocean or all paths lead to your destiny. And the key to it is just allowing yourself to let go and flow. You don't need to have to figure anything out. The river already knows its path. You literally can't make a wrong decision because all paths will lead to the right thing. You just have to let go and just trust. So be whatever you are. You can't see ahead around the river bend. The path only reveals itself when you start taking steps. You just have to be aware of what you are experiencing. So are you clinging? Are you letting go? What are you feeling? Just do that. The universe will take care of the rest. And around every bend and corner, you'll grow more and more just steady and capable of trusting and knowing I'm heading to the ocean. And that makes me tear up every time. So I'm like, oh my gosh, when this stage of life now of having this inherent trust of we're all heading to the ocean. I don't have to have it figured out. And whether you have relationship with God or the universe or source or whatever you want to call it, the trust and steadiness that comes with knowing I don't have to have it figured out. I just have to be honest.
Yeah.
Just be honest with whatever's there. Please let it sit there and let go.
Your moment of finding your home on Facebook Marketplace was going to the ocean.
Oh my gosh. That was just the beacon. Like, here's the lighthouse. If you just go there, you can exist as yourself. And so the goal has never been a career aspiration of like, I want to be a successful artist, whatever that means, financially, just painting wise, whatever. It's always just been, I want to exist as myself and being able to speak my language, which is in colors and paint. That's where I want to be. And so structuring for that, whether it's altering things that need to happen in my family and my work life, the relationship with yourself and getting to exist and be honest is most important. It comes before your kids. It comes before your partner.
It does,
Yeah.
which it often gets put aside so many times, but it is a priority.
Yeah, they'll start doing that too when you're modeling it.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much verbalizing to our kids how they should be, but us doing for ourselves. I remember seeing this video, maybe a little cheesy, but it resonated with me, where they said, you'll die for your kids, but will you live for your kids?
Oh,
Because, I mean, our children...
that hits hard.
Right? I'm like, yeah, we all say, of course I would take a bullet for my kids, but are you going to wake up every day and live for your kids? And I tell Lila often, she struggles with me not being with her dad anymore. I mean, you always want for your parents to be together. We have different emotional hardships like that. And I tell her, I can tell you a lot more when you're older if you want to know. But in general, mommy had to learn how to love and be myself because I want you to love and be yourself. And if I'm not doing that, why am I asking you to?
Yeah, that is an incredible reminder. It really is.
I mean, being a mother, it really changes everything. And I do truly believe I would have ended up in this position no matter what, because I really think all paths lead to the same destiny. Some just are longer than others.
Yeah.
But that the path of having a child, she was a surprise for me. I was able to do for her what I couldn't do for myself. And so it really expedited some things. And so as hard as motherhood is, we are incredibly, I think, in such an honorable position to, like you brought up earlier, just have that devotion. And I think when you make your life the art, the art of devotion, it's not just what ends up in the paintings, but all the moments in your life, that's the artwork. Yeah, something more beautiful than you can imagine will all of a sudden show up.
That you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't imagine it.
We can't imagine it. I would if you told me a few years ago I would be married, which I swore, I'm like, I will never be married or do X, Y, and Z and be pregnant and just be in this state where I feel incredibly loved and supported in ways that I really didn't know existed, I definitely wouldn't have believed you because I would have said, there's no way I'm going to be married.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, let alone have another baby. But I'm so grateful that as we just continue to sit and we don't know what's next, but we're all just playing and having a good time. And the to-do list is getting done eventually, slowly.
Well, you and I was telling you about Breadwinners and why I'm building this. We had a really wonderful conversation around the goal of this is to redefine what it means to be a breadwinner. And it also is opening the aperture beyond the financial term of richness. And we talked a lot about emotional richness. And there's so many components to how we all feel like breadwinners that need to exist in today's society. And those conversations need to be had. But everything we've just talked about is the emotional richness.
Yes, I feel like the richest person in the world. I really do from those aspects. I think a lot has been taught to me through my partner, Ryan, but I will say when I was dating, the most important thing I was seeking out was the ability to be content because dating in this day and age is really hard. And the idea of what is rich, what is successful is different for so many people. And I remember meeting Ryan after dating lots of just affluent executive tech field, whatever, all the things.
Yeah.
There was a lot of expectations in those moments of dating where I said, I will never put myself back in that position. And there seems to just be a level of discontentment. And I met Ryan, who feels like the richest man in the world because in the middle of his day, he has structured time to go ride his bike. As long as that man gets to go ride his bike, he is the richest man in the world. He is just, that's it. And so
that's his breadwinner.
That's his breadwinner.
Yeah.
And it also, I think, stems from when I think of the term breadwinner and really like the provider roles that it encompasses. I mean, the traditional masculine aspect of providing is you go hunt, find the bounty, drag it back. And then a more female provider role is the child rearing, is the foraging, cooking for the village. And so many more women now have more equal parts of masculine and feminine. And there's a lot of societal shifts from that. And I think it's exciting.
Okay, so I have some rapid fire questions that we ask everyone, which are intended to be fun.
Fun. I was going to say, fun.
You're also allowed to say skip if you don't want to answer it.
Okay. Shoot.
What color best represents your parenting style?
Ooh, green. But it's just my favorite color.
Mine too.
Yeah, but the first thought that comes to mind is green. We can make it cheesy and say nature and other things, but I think it's a soothing color that my whole job feels like soothing a child and trying to soothe myself via painting. So green.
What did it feel like the first time you saw your art in a gallery?
Oh, surreal. It still is. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, no, it is very surreal because it's little Aileen viewing that and knowing that's what I wanted to do. I didn't quite know to that aspect, but seeing it on the wall and just seeing it, big chapters of my life captured and seeing people excited to view it is humbling. And, yeah, surreal.
What is one thing you hope Lila understands about choosing presence over productivity?
Oh, man, just the whole thought of who do you want to be when you grow up is just thrown out the window.
Yeah.
That she gets to be her and whatever she happens to choose to spend her time in. Amazing. I'm here to support that.
If you had to give up either your paintbrushes or your ability to hug people, which would you choose?
Oh my gosh. Man, that's actually a really hard one because I consider touch my love language. But I use paintbrushes for so much of that. I think it would be giving up paintbrushes because I have to hug and touch my people, and I'll paint with my fingers.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God, that's such a good answer. Complete the sentence. Seeing life in colors means...
Oh my gosh, I just had 1,000 thoughts. Seeing life in color. I actually have a painting called Seeing in Color.
Oh.
This won't be like a coherent sentence, but just having a zest for life. Yeah, we need color in our lives.
How can people find you and your work and stay in touch, people who don't live in Austin?
Awesome. Well, I'm only on Instagram. I cannot get on TikTok or anything like that. I just don't have the bandwidth yet, probably ever. But on Instagram, I'm just Aileen Fitz Art. My name is spelled Aileen. You'll find my website from there. Honestly, if you just Google Aileen Fitz, a lot of the work that I have with retailers and my website, that will all pop up in the galleries that I work with. So
amazing. Thank you for being here.